The Luke V2 lightsaber. This is a special one because it doesn't really start at Return of the Jedi. It starts back at A New Hope. And it's one of the really cool stories of lightsabers. People ask me all the time, what's my favorite lightsaber? What's my favorite lightsaber? I don't technically have a favorite lightsaber. I have favorite stories. And the V2 is one of those favorite stories. Now, I figured I'd talk about it a little bit on my morning walk here because I wanted to kill two birds with one stone. Now, the V2 lightsaber ties all the way back to A New Hope. The V2 is actually Obi-Wan Kenobi's stunt lightsaber from A New Hope. So there's so much history just right there in that lightsaber, and I love that story. Luke's V2 lightsaber is not what is considered the hero lightsaber that we see only for mere seconds in Return of the Jedi in Darth Vader's hand when he says, I see that you've constructed a new lightsaber. Now the V2 is only one of a bunch of versions of props that were actually used in that movie. You had the V2, which was Obi-Wan's stunt saber. You had the Yuma, you had the V3, you had a resin cast one, the hero. And then of course you even have the cave saber, which you only see that one time. There's just so much stuff. So I find it really funny that the one that got my... Damn nature. Oh, bunny. Anyway, I always find it hilarious that the one that we consider the hero lightsaber, the one that we all know, and the one that we see Luke with in The Mandalorian and, you know, and whatever movie it was that he was in from Disney's crap, the one that he tries to kill young Kylo with, that is the one that we know as the hero. But the one that we see him 90% of the time in Return of the Jedi is this V2. Another bunny. Anakin would be so mad. There's sand everywhere. So the V2 is definitely what I've always considered the hero lightsaber. And I think it has a fantastic story and great history. So let's get on back to the studio and check it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Collector's Outpost. I am John. We are back here in the studio, and like I was saying over at the beach, Luke's lightsaber has a great story. Now, I kind of just set up a bunch of my Luke lightsabers here to give you an idea of the evolution. And it all started right here, like I was saying, with the A New Hope Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber. This lightsaber was made of a bunch of found parts like grenades and machine gun thingies and Rolls-Royce engine parts and stuff like that, a sink, you know what I mean? So they needed to make stunt versions of this. And from this, from what I understand, had two stunt versions, which was the V2 and V3. Now, what they had to do was put a rod in here with some machines and everything and some wires and a battery pack. The wire and everything went up their sleeve to get to the battery. And there was an actual piece of machinery in here that would spin the emitter that had a rod attached to it with reflective material. And that's kind of how they produced that on-screen flickering effect with the blade. Now, once we got to Return of the Jedi, they realized that they couldn't use the Graflex. So what they did is went back and grabbed the stunt versions from Obi-Wan Kenobi. They pulled off the rod. They actually put some gaffer tape around here to stop the spinning. And this is the one that becomes Luke's belt hanger, which is the one that I consider to be Luke's actual hero lightsaber. Now, this is the EFX version, which is the licensed version replica of what we see him with in The Mandalorian. This can get very confusing very fast, but I just wanted to kind of just give you an idea of, you know, where it started and where it ended up. I don't have a Yuma, I don't have a real V3, so I'm hoping that a Yuma version comes out that I can get that just has that rough control box here, and a V3, which I believe the V3 had a clamp that was more like the A New Hope clamp here. So I would love to get those versions in the collection. So anyway, we're gonna put all of these aside right now and we're gonna take a look at the brand new Luke V2. But before we dig into that, if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the channel and checking out this video. Please help support the channel by simply dropping down and hitting the like, subscribe, and notification button for upcoming videos. And if you are a returning viewer and a friend of the channel already, thanks so much for coming back again to hang out for yet another Luke Skywalker lightsaber video. Let's get into this unboxing. All right, this comes over from my good friends over at Vader Sabers. If you want to check this out and everything else they have to offer, including my very own custom lightsaber, the Duality, I'll put direct links and the discount code for you down in the description. My custom Duality lightsaber was a limited run and there are only a handful left. So if you want to grab one of these, don't wait too long. Again, this was a limited run. There's only a few left and I don't know if we're going to do another run anytime soon or if ever again. All right, let's dig in because this is what everybody is here for. This is the brand new Luke V2 lightsaber, and I'm absolutely loving this lightsaber. I have the 89 Sabers version, and I'll show you that side by side, and I do think I might like this one better. And there's definitely one thing about this that I love over the 89 Sabers version, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. Now let's see everything else that they have here. We do have a second pommel cap, and you'll see a logo down here, which I'll explain that in just a minute. But I love that we get a display cap for that. And we have our USB charging cable with our tools and some retention screws in there. This is an SNV4 Pro, so that does work on an app, and here are a whole bunch of manuals for the saber itself and some app tutorial things here, which if you've never used a SNV4, it's really cool. You can add blade styles and it's really easy to use. And you get a nice display stand along with a plaque to go in it. And that says Luke Skywalker V2 Hero Episode 6 Return of the Jedi. So that way you have a great way to display your lightsaber. And of course, it will come with a 1-inch pixel blade. Some of you may like a 36 if you're a little bit taller than me. I am 5'10", and the 32-inch always feels really good for me. Now, this particular blade is a show blade. It is much lighter than the regular standard blades that you would get with one of these. You can actually check this out on the accessories page. And I'm gonna use the show blade on this simply because this is a thin neck and not a whole lot of that blade gets into these necks. Let me show you. You know, okay, that's touching the pins right there, and you only get just about 3/4 of an inch. That is not a lot of blade depth. But with any thin neck, I always would recommend, number one, not dueling with them because that blade is probably gonna struggle to hang on. And just for simple swinging around, the lighter the blade, the better. It's gonna lighten the load and it's gonna be a lot easier on the emitter section there. All right, let's dig in a little bit. We do have that blade emitter, and we do have the more screen accurate blade cap there. And on the bottom, we have a display cap, and we also have our sound venting cap. Now, what you're gonna notice here is that you're gonna see that A at the bottom. That there is the Anakin Starkiller logo. He's been designing lightsabers for over 20 years, he was telling me. So when chatting with him about this and the design and all the sizes and measurements, he was saying that he did 3D model this himself and all of the measurements were taken off the original Obi-Wan Kenobi stunt prop saber. And from that point, TXQ, when they were manufacturing this, had to make a few adjustments due to their machining and I guess electronics or whatever. But I am assuming that this is pretty darn close to what he designed and signed off on. Now you'll see that this is the clean version. It's very clean, so you can weather this up however you would like. So he was also saying that you can go over to the Halowax Basement Builds Patreon page and there will be the stencils that you can get for this lightsaber to really get it screen accurate with step-by-step instructions if you're interested in doing all that work yourself. I mean, there's a lot of work, I think, on the stenciling. And the other cool thing is that he is working on a few other ones. There is a Kenobi one coming out that TXQ actually just posted. So as soon as Vader Sabers is able to get their hands on that, I'm sure I'll get a copy for everyone to check out and you'll be able to pick it up over at Vader Sabers. Now let's dig into this a little bit. This is the SNV4, but you can get this as a base slit and a Profi. But for myself, I do prefer the SNV4 Pro as I really don't enjoy fiddling around with Profi coding and stuff like that. So right here, this is the newer SNV4 Pro. This has been out for a little bit now. The card is sideways, that kind of gives that away. And you can see it is a fully removable chassis. We have the 18650 battery and the USB-C charging port right there. Now this does have the kind of steps at the top there. So this does fit in one way and one way only into this hilt. So you just have to make sure that you line these steps up right. So you're gonna put the SD card facing up towards the clamp card and slip that in. Just do yourself a favor, don't jam it, don't twist it or anything, because you just don't want to break anything in there. It goes in there super easy. You can see just line it up and pop that right on in. Now let me just really quick show you what the display version would look like, because this is pretty much how I'm going to display it. And there you have it. You have a very screen accurate prop to display on your collection shelf. Now let's just do a quick side-by-side comparison. This one here is the 89 Sabers version that I previously reviewed, and I even did a little bit of a weathering job on this because I didn't like a few things on here. Like all of this is not supposed to be weathered up with that pattern, yet they had it on here. So I had to do a little bit of cleanup there. I added the weathering over here. It's not screen accurate. I just kind of did my own thing based on the idea of what that was. I put a little bit of rust in the middle there, and then I also added that black gaffer tape. Now, maybe at some point I'll do that same type of treatment on this one, but I'm also thinking it's kind of cool to have a clean version and a more weathered version, so I might not even touch this one at all. So let's do a quick top to bottom throughout this. The 89 Sabers had a blade plug to represent what Luke's top looks like there. This actually has a full emitter cap to swap out. This wind vane is a little bit different than this one here. So what you can see here is the 89 Sabers. I think you can see it has like a real hard 90-degree edge there. It's just a ring and then another ring on top, basically. Now, the wind vane over here on the V2 has more of an angled shelf there. The rings around the 89 Sabers look a little bit thinner than the rings over here. Down to the clamp cards, they are slightly different. The clamps on the side are a little bit different. You can see the design similarity, but they are different. They do both have that brushed aluminum look, but the Graflex clamp is very glossy over here and more brushed over here. Now, moving down just a smidge, we do both have these like cone nubbins over here. This one's a little bit thicker. This one's a little thinner and maybe a little bit taller. And then we do have that little box kind of thing over there as well. And right around the other side here, they both have a little retention screw that lines up with the clamp card. There, you can see it right there, right there. And then the pommel cubes and the D-ring are quite a bit different on both of these. The 89 Sabers has a much longer cube style there, and these are a little smaller. So they're not as long over there, and you can see that the D-ring is slightly different. This kind of has more of a 90-degree turn right here on the edges and then goes into the circle. This kind of has more of a circular thing to it overall. Like there is no hard down end over here. It just kind of comes out and then curves around. So those are slightly different all on their own. Now, I was saying there was something about this new SNV4 that I really liked over the 89 Sabers version, and that are the buttons. The 89 Sabers version had a top button here and a bottom button here. All right, so you actually had to push underneath over here to activate it in an auxiliary, which I found a little weird. But on the newer SNV4 Pro, these are the buttons right here, and it is absolutely beautiful. Let's get a blade in and check this out. I am not going to do a full walkthrough of this app. I do have a video where I do a little bit more of a full walkthrough, and I'll link that at the end of this video, and I'll put it down in the description for you. But I'm just going to do a couple of basic setups on here, but there is just so much you can do in this app. So definitely go and check that video out. Now, this app is actually pretty powerful. I mean, you have tons of blade styles that you can go into the public blade effects here, and there's just tons and tons of different blade styles that you can click on preview, and you'll see what those things do. Grab this one, see all of that. So you can go through every one of these things on here and just kind of load in whatever you want. Straight out blades, you got blades with different effects and different flickers. This one's twinkly. Then you can go in here and make an account and even kind of design your own blade styles. Fire with noise, fast flicker. Oh, that's actually really nice. Let's install that. That is the CL23-031. Let's install that. Upload, click yes. So let that download for a second, then we're gonna go into the local blade effects and we're gonna have to actually activate it. All right, now let's go into local. All right, and then we just have to find that over here. All right, CL23-031 fast flicker. All right, let's play that. Make sure you can actually get a preview on your blade, which actually that's a really nice pulse. I like that. So that's a good preview right there. And you can change the color. Let's go into a green, beautiful, and then mark that. So when you click mark, that's gonna activate the blade in the app and in the hilt over there. So, all right, and then let's flip through our switch blade effect and see if we can find that. And there we go. There is the blade we just made. That's the color and the flicker style. So it is just that simple. And what I want to do right now is set my blade length. All right, so let's go on in here and go to data and light length. So let's turn this on. All right, you'll actually see a live preview. There we go. So we just want to get that set to the tip over there. You can go in small increments just by hitting the plus or the minus, or you can use the slider there. Okay, so that's at 118, so let's go down until I start seeing a slight movement on the tip there. Okay, so now we just passed it, so that's 107. All right, that looks about the brightest, 140, about 141, 142. So by adjusting the blade correctly, the length of the blade, all the effects will show up in the right spot. So you have the lockup right around there. Flash on clash. All right, blasters. Tip drag. Stab. You can even audition the swing sounds. Melt effect. Super cool. Now again, like I was saying, that this is a 2-button setup. So the top is our power on, and the bottom is our auxiliary.
Ray Skywalker.
Blade stable.
Change your blade effects.
Blade pulse.
So I'm just changing the blade effects just by holding the bottom button for about 2 seconds.
Blade rainbow.
Tell me, is this training?
My training? No.
You can hear the accent swings pretty nicely. The SN has come so far. And you can even change the blade color on here. Hold your auxiliary and give a twist. There is a little bit of blade wiggle. So yeah, that is the only thing I am noticing with this, is that, you know, that's just kind of what happens sometimes. Now, let me show you something that helped a lot with this blade wiggle. This came with a lot of retention screws. The blade emitter actually has 4 retention screws, but under that, you'll see 4 more retention screws on the actual hilt itself here. So what you notice when you put the emitter cap back on, they sit on top of each other. So when you pop a retention screw in the top and in the bottom, it's allowing more of the blade to be grabbed onto. And do keep in mind that these retention screws are sitting in the threaded section, so they do have to fit in completely so that the emitter can screw back on. Be very careful when you're doing that because the pins for the blade are right there. But I now have 2 retention screws on the top emitter and 2 retention screws in the threaded area, and it worked fantastic. Absolutely no blade wiggle. All right, that is it, my friends. This is the brand new Luke V2. Thank you so much to Vader Sabers for sending this over for everybody to check out. I'll put a direct link and a discount code for you all down in the description below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button for upcoming videos. I've got more lightsabers and some 6-scale figures coming up that you're not gonna wanna miss out. All right, I'll see you all on the next video. Be safe and kind out there in the world. See ya.